Let's talk Dynasty Fantasy Football Rising Quarterback, Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones. Very obvious that the personnel change in New York was beneficial for the Giants. Brian Daboll was the coach of the year, taking over a 4-13 Giants team that this past season had a winning record and won a playoff game. He's been credited with assisting in Josh Allen's development as a quarterback back when he was the OC in Buffalo, and we saw a big jump in Daniel Jones his first year with Brian Daboll. Career year for Daniel Jones in completions, passing yards. He threw the least amount of interceptions he's ever thrown, rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. And most importantly for us guys, fantasy points. Even with missing a game, Daniel Jones was the overall QB9 for the fantasy season. He averaged 18.38 fantasy points per game. 5 top 10 weekly fantasy finishes, 7 top 12 weekly fantasy finishes. Number 5 for the quarterback position in rushing yards with 708. Number 3 in rushing touchdowns with 7. For rushing upside, he had the 4th highest percentage of games with 50-plus rushing yards at 37.5%. Player Profiler ranked Daniel Jones number 5 in accuracy rating, number 1 in true completion percentage, number 7 in QBR. He also was very efficient in the red zone as a passer. 28.57% of his red zone passing attempts resulted in a red zone touchdown. Now, while we're not sure if Saquon Barkley is going to be back with the Giants, I do think that they improved their wide receiver room. If we look here, Darius Slayton, Richie James, Isaiah Hodgins is the 3 leaders for wide receiver targets. Those are decent wide receivers, but nothing special. I do like Wan'Dale Robinson, but he is going to have a road to recovery following the ACL tear. But a lot of the mock drafts I've been looking at have the Giants in round 1 taking one of these stud wide receivers. So the thought here is that we just seen a huge jump in Daniel Jones and the Giants in general. He's shown us big rushing upside, some fantasy football upside, and he might have some better pass catchers in this coming season. Now, a lot of people might say, hey, the Giants may not bring him back. It's not 100%, but I do have faith that this guy gets paid and that New York does bring him back, especially seeing that they were in the playoffs and contending this year. So if he does get paid, that's even more of a dynasty boost knowing that they are invested in Daniel Jones, and I do think they will be. Be sure to sign up on the P2W Fantasy Patreon, patreon.com/P2W Fantasy for consistent content, data, and everything you're looking for to help you play to win.